Now, I feel like at this point we are all familiar with Darnell Richmond. We all know what this man's about. He is the greatest player of all time. If you need somebody to score big time goals, Darnell's your guy. If you need somebody to pick up a big time assist, Darnell's your guy. If you just need a big time performer when the lights are the brightest, Darnell Richmond is that player. So I've gone ahead and added Darnell Richmond to the upcoming draft. He is the perfect player, 99 in absolutely every attribute category. There is nothing Darnell can't do. So what we're doing today is we're going to simulate the perfect career of Darnell Richmond. We're going to watch this man completely run the NHL and ruin the NHL because of how dominant he's going to be. Like, he's going to be winning every big time award. He's going to be winning countless Stanley Cups. He's going to lead the league in scoring every season. There is going to be nothing that Darnell Richmond can't do. So the first thing we have to do, of course, is simulate the entire season, figure out who the worst teams are going to be, and whether or not Darnell's going to be joining the St. Louis Blues, because there's like a 95% chance of that happening. Except we all know the St. Louis Blues are going to drop from 1 to 3 in the draft. I've seen it time and time again. I know it's going to happen again. Now, of course, we're not really too worried about who the top teams in the NHL were. It was the Tampa Bay Lightning, Colorado Avalanche, and Florida Panthers. But we don't care about that. We care about the worst teams, such as the Buffalo Sabres, Calgary Flames, New York Islanders, Chicago Blackhawks, San Jose Sharks, and St. Louis Blues. So these are the most likely recipients of getting the first overall pick and selecting Darnell Richmond. But of course, a team can jump 10 draft picks, so there are a couple other options. Now, when it comes to the Stanley Cup final, that's going to be the Florida Panthers. They're going to take down the Winnipeg Jets in 6 games, but we don't care about that. We care about the draft lottery and seeing who's going to be selecting with the first overall pick, and it looks like that's the San Jose Sharks. Not gonna lie, that's actually kind of perfect. So Darnell Richmond is going to be joining the San Jose Sharks alongside Macklin Celebrini, Will Smith, William Eklund, Sam Dickinson, Askarov. Yeah, that's a dynasty right there. So let's go ahead and head to the draft. And with the first overall pick, the San Jose Sharks are selecting Darnell Richmond. High franchise potential, a 99 overall. In 72 WHL games, he had 51 goals and 59 assists. Those are incredibly unrealistic numbers, considering Richmond is probably going to have more points than that in his rookie season. This man is about to dominate the NHL. As I mentioned earlier, a 99 in every attribute category. He is literally the perfect player. So Darnell's going to be selected by the San Jose Sharks. That's going to be a big time pickup for them. The Sharks just went from being the 5th worst team in the entire league to Stanley Cup favorites just because of that one selection. Now it's finally time for Darnell Richmond to make his debut in the NHL. At 18 years old, he's going to be on the top line alongside Macklin Celebrini and William Eklund. This is going to be the best first line in the entire league for a handful of years moving forward. As long as the Sharks can keep these 3 guys together, I don't know who's going to be able to stop this team. I know we don't have the greatest bottom 6, and we might not have a superstar defense. Granted, we do have John Carlson here and Michael Matheson, so that's definitely going to help. But as long as Darnell Richmond's here and you have Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith and William Eklund, nobody's going to be able to stop this team, mainly because of Darnell Richmond. Now, there is one other thing that I haven't shown quite yet, and I actually didn't have turned up for season number 1. So we're going to go to rules here, and I want Darnell Richmond to absolutely ruin the NHL. I want this man to be so dominant that it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So sim engine scoring, we're turning that to high. We're going to see players scoring 80, maybe even 90 goals per season now. If you thought we've seen some ridiculous scoring in the past, wait until we turn this to high. Darnell's going to be the first 300-point player. So let's go ahead and dive into Darnell Richmond's first official season in the NHL. The San Jose Sharks might have been a terrible team last season, but I think they're the Stanley Cup favorite now. Now, with the addition of Darnell Richmond to the San Jose Sharks, they're immediately the second best team in the entire league. But I just want to point out the goal scoring. 4.82 is going to lead the way, and that's coming from the San Jose Sharks. So I can only imagine Darnell Richmond just did some incredible things. Mitch Marner is going to lead the Vegas Golden Knights with 109 points. Jack Eichel 105. Noah Hannafin had 95 points. I want you to really understand that. Noah Hannafin had 95 points. So what do we think our man Darnell Richmond did? I'm thinking at least 150 points this season. Nope, he surpassed that. 131 goals, 47 assists for 178 points in his rookie season. This man just had 178 points in his rookie season. William Eklund, 139 points. Macklin Celebrini, 131 points. John Carlson, 100 points. Will Smith, 91 points. Howard Toffoli, 80 points. We had 5 point-a-game scorers and 4 100-point scorers on this team. We were unstoppable. But I guess the real question is 178 points going to lead the NHL? I'm assuming it is, but it is possible it won't be because William Nylander's picking up 180 points. He's going to be ahead of Darnell Richmond. Nah, that's actually crazy work. I didn't think anyone would actually be ahead of Darnell Richmond, but it looks like somebody is. But the real question is, did that success translate into the postseason? Unfortunately not. The Florida Panthers are Stanley Cup champions, taking down the San Jose Sharks. The best team in the entire league technically was the Florida Panthers. They were ahead of us in the standings, and when push came to shove, the San Jose Sharks just aren't going to have an answer, and they're going to be falling. But you know what? That's lots of success for Darnell Richmond in his first postseason appearance. 25 goals, 19 assists for 44 points in just 23 games. So he was 2 points back of averaging 2 points a game. That's how dominant Darnell Richmond was in his rookie season. Now, one thing we do have to remember, this San Jose Sharks team is going to be even better next season. William Eklund's still getting better. Macklin Celebrini still getting better. Will Smith is still getting better. Ashcroft's still getting better. Yeah, we're quickly watching a dynasty form with the San Jose Sharks. So after seeing the success that the San Jose Sharks had last season, I can only assume they're going to continue to build on it. Darnell Richmond, Macklin Celebrini, and William Eklund are going to continue to be the top line. Jeff Skinner, Will Smith, and Tyler Toffoli can definitely hold it down on the second line. The bottom six is looking better this season. When it comes to defense, Mario Ferraro and John Carlson are going to be the top pairing once again. I think the defense might be slightly worse this season. That's something they're definitely going to work on in the future. And then when it comes to goaltending, Ashcroft's an 86 overall. He's still the starting goaltender for this team. I mean, at the end of the day, even if our defense looks terrible and our goaltending is atrocious, we have Darnell Richmond. And realistically, that's all the San Jose Sharks need. Now, it's another successful season for the San Jose Sharks, third in the entire league, a 60-19-3 record, almost 5 goals per game from this franchise. So that means Darnell Richmond must have been absolutely dominating. Did he have a 200-point season? It is very possible, but he's just going to be a little bit short. Only 197 points, 138 goals, 59 assists, and I also just realized we actually didn't look at his awards last season, so we'll take a quick look at that. But I guess this is also including this season's awards. So he's a one-time Hart winner, a two-time winner of the Ted Lindsay. He won the Art Ross this season. He's won back-to-back Maurice Rock-Richard trophies. Of course, he won the Calder last season, but of course he can't take home multiple Calders, so instead he's just going to win the Lady Byng this season. Darnell Richmond, through 2 seasons, has already solidified himself as one of the greatest players of all time. Just look at what this man's doing compared to everyone else in the NHL. Nobody can compete. He scored 24 game-winning goals, 10 more than Leon Draisaitl. Yeah, this man is just built different, what can I say? But the question is, did any of this success translate into the postseason? It doesn't look like it. The Winnipeg Jets are Stanley Cup champions. The San Jose Sharks ended up falling to the Edmonton Oilers in the second round. That just can't happen. The San Jose Sharks can't allow that to happen. With the amount of amazing talent on this team, especially considering Darnell Richmond had 22 goals and 3 assists for 25 points in just 12 games, you have to repay this man with a Stanley Cup. He was over 2 points per game. He almost averaged 2 goals per game, but it still wasn't enough apparently. No, the goal scoring outside Darnell is a little bit cooked here. Like, he scored 22 goals. Tyler Toffoli was second on the team with 5. Yeah, you got to give Darnell a little bit more support. Like, what are we doing? But season number 2 is going to be all wrapped up for Darnell Richmond. He continues to improve alongside the rest of the team. It's only a matter of time before he records 200 points in a season. And maybe, if we want to get really unrealistic, 200 goals from Darnell in a season, I think that's going to be impossible. But you know what? Anything is possible. So moving into year 3, we're definitely making a questionable decision, moving Macklin Celebrini down to the second line. He was dominating alongside William Eklund and Darnell Richmond, but if this is what the coach wants to do, I guess this is what we're going to do. The bottom 6, I think, might be slightly weaker this season, and when it comes to the defense, Adam Pelech is definitely going to be a great upgrade for the top pairing. Sam Dickinson's finally going to be jumping into the lineup at an 82 overall. Meanwhile, when it comes to goaltending, Ashcroft is now drop 1 overall, because that makes so much sense. Also, Joel Hofer's the backup, so shout out to him. But even with us knowing all of that, there is one question that has to be answered. Darnell Richmond, what is the extension looking like? Have you signed one with the team? Yes, he has, and he is securing an absolute bag. $21 million for how many seasons? $21 million for the next 5 seasons. This man just secured $100 million. Shout out to Darnell Richmond for securing the bag like that. 100 M's. Nah, I wish I was that man right there. No, like seriously, imagine signing a $100 million contract. That is just absurd. Now, what can I say? I'm a little disappointed with the San Jose Sharks. 4th in the entire league, but only 4.43 goals per game. That's what happens when you take Macklin Celebrini off the top line. He was dominating alongside Darnell Richmond. So what they do, they took him off the first line. It literally made 0 sense. Richmond, 129 goals, 37 assists for 166 points. Nah, bro's a complete and utter fraud. Richmond, I've seen better from you. That's actually the worst season of your career so far. Then again, that is saying something. Like, you scored 129 goals, and that's the worst season of your career. Yeah, I think you're off to a pretty good start. Unfortunately, though, you're not seeing any postseason success quite yet. We're going to be falling in the second round once again, this time to the Anaheim Ducks. It's kind of crazy how the most success this team saw was in the very first year that Darnell joined. Ever since then, they haven't really been able to get the ball rolling. Richmond, 13 goals, 13 assists for 26 points. So once again, he's going to be a 2-point per game player in the postseason. However, the goal scoring numbers definitely took a step back. Like, this man had as many assists as he did goals. What's with all the passing all of a sudden? But Richmond, your entry-level contract is now up, and now it's time for you to get paid the absolute bag. $21 million per year for the next 5 years. You're going to be stacking all the paper, but hopefully you can start stacking some Stanley Cups eventually. But I guess before we move on to next season, we should probably take a quick look at awards. Richmond's going to be taking home an Art Ross, and he's also going to be taking home a Hart. No surprise there. Shout out to Quentin Musty. He's going to be taking home the Calder this season. Richmond's also going to be taking home a couple other awards, one of them being the Ted Lindsay, and then the final one being the Maurice Rocket-Richard. Expect him to win this one basically every season. Okay, I think one problem that we're kind of having with the San Jose Sharks is there's way too many playmakers in our top six. William Eklund's a playmaker. Will Smith is a playmaker. Macklin Celebrini, he's a playmaker. Michael Misa, he's a playmaker. So I feel like there's a surplus of playmakers when it comes to our top six. Granted, we do have the greatest goal scorer of all time in Darnell Richmond, so it kind of helps that he's alongside all of these guys. But the problem is, Darnell Richmond's the only one here. Frederick Gaudreau, I guess he's the next top sniper on this team. Yeah, that's not really a great sign. When it comes to the defense, it's looking a bit better this season. We brought in Ivan Provorov. How much money did we give this man? $8.5 million. Honestly, that's not too bad. He's going to be serving a great role on this team. The defense is looking even better this season. Goaltending's looking the exact same. We have Ashcroft and Joel Hofer once again. Darnell Richmond, it's about time you win a Stanley Cup. You're 21 years old. You're not getting any younger. Yes, you have a lot of time in front of you, but why not win a Stanley Cup sooner than later and then maybe win 5 more along the way? Like, the last thing I want to see you doing is not winning a Stanley Cup until you're like 33 years old. Then you're only going to be able to win like 2 or 3 in your career. But if you start winning Stanley Cups now, well, then the sky's the limit. Now, I was kind of hoping that this would be happening with the San Jose Sharks and not the Florida Panthers. 5.35 goals per game. That's how good Florida's offense is right now. We have the second best offense in the entire league at 4.8 goals, but I would love if we were scoring 5 goals per game, because if we were scoring 5 goals per game, you know Darnell Richmond would have at least 200 points. But just because we're below 5 goals per game doesn't mean Darnell Richmond didn't have 200 points, but it looks like he's not going to have 200 points. 139 goals. 39 assists for 178 points. Once again, it's another dominant season from Darnell, but it's not 200 points. I want to see this man have a 200-point season. When it comes to the entire league, Richmond's going to lead the way. Austin Matthews, he's going to be coming in second. William Nylander, he's coming in third. But just look at Richmond at the top all alone. This man is the best player in the game, but I want to see at least 160 goals from him at some point. I know I was saying earlier I want him to score 200 goals, but let's be honest, that's not going to happen. But I want at least 160 goals in a season. Maybe 150 is a bit more realistic. He was only 11 points off of that. But I want 150 goals and I want 200 points in a season. That's how dominant I want Darnell Richmond to be. Now, when it comes to the postseason, what are the San Jose Sharks going to be doing? Well, they're going to make it all the way to the conference finals, but they're going to lose in 7 games to the Winnipeg Jets, who are eventually going to get swept by the Toronto Maple Leafs in the Stanley Cup final. So the San Jose Sharks were a little bit better, but when it comes to the postseason success from Darnell Richmond, the best postseason he had goes all the way back to year number 1, where they made it to the Stanley Cup final. Since then, they really haven't seen a lot of success. Richmond, 24 goals, 9 assists for 33 points, so once again, he's over 2 points per game. That's just what Richmond does during the postseason. When you need somebody to show up when the bright lights are there, Richmond's going to be that guy. And then, of course, when it comes to the individual awards, Richmond's going to be picking up a handful this season. He's going to be picking up Ted Lindsay. Of course, he's getting the Maurice Rocket-Richard. He got the Art Ross, but he's not taking home the Hart this season. Honestly, that's a little bit disrespectful. We saw what Richmond did for the San Jose Sharks team. You have to give him the Hart. What are we doing? Okay, we need to have a serious conversation. The top 5 on the San Jose Sharks is incredible. We have 490 overalls and an 89 overall. And the reason I said the top 5 and not the top 6, Ty Dellandrea, I'm not including you in that conversation. This bottom 7 is atrocious. When it comes to the defense, it's not really looking the greatest here. Sam Dickinson's only an 83 overall at 24 years old. I'm starting to think he's not going to develop into that superstar I thought he would. And then when it comes to goaltending, Ashcroft, you're an 85 overall. You're getting paid $6.6 million. Are we really spending all of our money? So when taking a look at the San Jose Sharks, this is what the cap situation's looking like. So Darnell Richmond's getting paid $21 million. Then William Eklund's getting paid $16 million, but he needs an extension. John Carlson, who is 40 years old, is getting paid $11 million, and he's getting that for the next 2 seasons. Macklin Celebrini, he's on a great deal, $9 million. Will Smith, $8.6 million, that's a great deal. Provorov, $8.5. Not the greatest in the world considering you're going to start regressing, but it looks like we are going to have some money freeing up. Also, Ryan Pollock, I did not realize you were on this team. When did Ryan Pollock join this team? I did not see him when looking at the defense. Is this man currently a healthy scratch for us? They must have just traded for him or they signed him. I'm not really sure how Ryan Pollock joined this team. Did I just completely miss him or is he a healthy scratch? Did the San Jose Sharks really throw $7 million at that man only for him to be a healthy scratch? That can't be the case. Oh, he's on the second pairing. I just completely missed his name. Yeah, shout out to Ryan Pollock. Not really sure why we're giving you $7 million considering we can just place Sam Dickinson on the second pairing over you and then have that money freed up. Granted, Sam Dickinson is getting paid $5 million right now and he's only an A3. So yeah, we're not really utilizing the cap the best way possible. But you know what? Even if we're not utilizing it to the best of our abilities, that's perfectly fine because we have Darnell Richmond. And as long as the San Jose Sharks have Darnell Richmond, they have a chance. Granted, the chance would be a lot better if we had competent management, but you know what? We can't get everything we want. Now, I certainly had my doubts about this team, but you know what? Maybe I shouldn't have questioned them. Second in the entire league, a 59-20-3 record, 5.21 goals per game. Darnell, did you do it? Did you record 200 points this season? And did you score 150 goals? We're about to find out. He didn't do it. These numbers are actually very underwhelming. Richmond, 130 goals, 50 assists, 180 points. I was expecting significantly more considering we were scoring over 5 goals per game. Granted, we did have 5 scores over 120 points, so that is a little bit ridiculous. Looking at the entire league, Austin Matthews is going to lead the way. He's picking up 187 points. Richmond only 180. There was a lot of San Jose Sharks when it came to the top 10 in scoring, but when it mattered most, when the lights were the brightest, did this team step up? They had 5 120-point scores. Surely they won a Stanley Cup this season, and that's exactly what they did. The San Jose Sharks took down the Toronto Maple Leafs in the Stanley Cup final. The Sharks finally won a Stanley Cup. Darnell Richmond has finally done it. It might have taken till 2031, but Richmond did it. 31 goals, 7 assists for 38 points in the postseason. He was over a goal per game in the postseason. 2-game winners, 12 power play goals. Bro was absolutely locked in. Ashcroft, I don't care what the save percentage is, and I don't really care about the goals against, because truthfully, with the way the offense is in the NHL, these numbers aren't going to look good. But 15 wins is what I care about. Our backup must have won 1 game. That's exactly what Joel Hofer would have done for us. The San Jose Sharks Stanley Cup champions. Darnell Richmond has finally done it, but what other awards did he take home this season? He's not taking home the Art Ross. He's not taking home the Hart. But you know what award he is going to be taking home? The Conn Smythe. And truthfully, that's the most important award when it comes to this postseason, because not only did he win a Stanley Cup, but he got the Conn Smythe. When it comes to some of the other individual awards, he's taking home the Maurice Rocket Richard, and that's going to be it. So although he didn't win as many individual awards this season, he won the Stanley Cup, and that's really the only one that matters. Now, after winning a Stanley Cup and everything looking amazing for the franchise, disaster is struck. William Eklund has officially left the team. He's going to be leaving this amazing core, but I think we'll still be okay. Our top 5 is still looking amazing. Quentin Mussey's up to a 91 overall, so he can fill the role on the top line. Taking a look at the defense. Okay, we are absolutely cooked here. This defense is atrocious. There is no way we're going to be elite this season. Who on earth is Jason Marleau? Who is this man? We drafted him 70th overall in 2026. He is now the new starting goaltender ahead of Ashcroft. Alright then, I thought Ashcroft was going to be our guy for basically this entire video. Maybe not. We have ourselves a new starter. So even though we don't have William Eklund, we still have Darnell Richmond on the team. So maybe this team can go on another deep run and win back-to-back Stanley Cups. Truthfully, as long as Darnell Richmond's here, anything's possible. I don't care what our defense looks like. Richmond is here, and Richmond's going to score goals, and goals win you games. Now, although William Eklund's no longer on the team, the Sharks are still looking to run it back. They want to go back-to-back. A 57-17-8 record is going to have them first in the entire league, 5.2 goals for is amazing, and that begs the question, Darnell Richmond, did you score 200 points this season? It is possible. William Eklund would have been taking points away from you last season. He's definitely not going to be doing that this season, and when it comes to Darnell Richmond's points, he did it. 133 goals, 71 helpers, 204 points. Darnell Richmond is dominating the NHL right now. 204 points is an incredible milestone, but he only picked up 133 goals, which is actually a little bit surprising. I was thinking he would have at least 150 goals if he's picking up over 200 points, but you know what? We'll take 71 assists as well. Will Smith, 182 points this season, including 149 assists. Bro was absolutely locked in. And then Marleau, he was an absolute stud. Not really, though. I just realized he posted an 891 and a 344. Granted, compared to some of the other numbers in the league, these are actually probably really good. And then when it comes to the playoffs, when it mattered most, the San Jose Sharks are going to run it back. Back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, 16-3 in the postseason. Nobody could compete with the Sharks, and nobody could compete with Darnell Richmond, as he's picking up 33 goals, 20 assists for 53 points in just 19 games. Bro was him. We have never in history seen a postseason run this dominant. 33 goals is one thing, but 53 points as well. Nobody's stopping Darnell Richmond. Once his career is up, he is going down as the greatest player of all time. Marleau, 16 wins, 1 shutout, a 908 and a 311. Nah, this team is really built different right now. And then when it comes to awards, of course, we know who's winning the Conn Smythe. It's going to be Darnell Richmond. But he's also taking home the Art Ross. He's taking home the Hart this season. He's going to be securing the Lady Byng as well. We knew he was taking home the Conn Smythe after we saw those numbers. He's going to be taking home the Ted Lindsay, of course. And then he's going to round it all off with the Maurice Richard. He's taken home every major award this season, I guess except the Selke. That's going to be going to Nico Hischier. But one of these days, I expect Richmond to take that home. Granted, I'm pretty sure when it comes to NHL 26, they only give it to centermen. I could be completely wrong, but if you look at our last 5 winners, it's all centermen. So yeah, more than likely Richmond's not going to win that award just because he's a winger. But we're not too worried about that. It was another historic season from Darnell Richmond. He's looking to build on that heading into next season, and the San Jose Sharks are looking for the three-peat. So last season, the defense was looking pretty chopped for the San Jose Sharks. Like, it was arguably one of the worst defenses in the entire league. However, we had Darnell Richmond on the team, and not only was he able to lead us to a President's Trophy, but we won a Stanley Cup as well. So what does the defense look like this season? It's actually worse than last year. Yeah, the defense is even worse than it was last season, and last season had the bar incredibly low. Luckily, when it comes to goaltending, we have 88 overall Askarov and 86 overall Marleau. We have 2 elite goaltenders, so even though the defense isn't the greatest in the world, at least we have those 2 guys. Also, shout out to Nick Schmaltz. We're paying him $1.1 million. I think he's going to play a big role on this second line. Now, I didn't think this would be possible with the defense that we had on this team, but with a 66-14-2 record, we've officially broken the win record. 66 wins is going to be an NHL record, and with us scoring 5.23 goals per game, Darnell Richmond, did you just have another 200-point season? Oh yeah, he did. But not only did he pick up 231 points, he had 144 goals, 87 assists. These are broken records across the board. Most points in a single season, most goals in a single season, with Darnell Richmond breaking his old record. I also believe that Macklin Celebrini also would have broken the single season point record if Darnell Richmond hadn't broke it in the exact same season. So yeah, safe to say this team is really good, or at least our first line is really good. When it comes to goaltending, I mean, these guys did what they could this season. We won 66 games. I'm not really going to complain, but I will complain about one thing, and that's us not winning the Stanley Cup this season. We fell in 7 games to the Nashville Predators in the conference finals. We didn't even make it to the Stanley Cup final. That's absolutely heartbreaking. After the season that Darnell Richmond had, I thought it was guaranteed that we were going to be winning a Stanley Cup. I guess not. And bro put up 27 goals and 23 helpers for 50 points in 18 games. With numbers like this, we should be guaranteed the Stanley Cup, but I guess not. Like, Richmond would have led all postseason scores, and he only had to play 18 games. Like Austin Matthews, he played 19 games, but he was 13 points back of Darnell Richmond. Jack Hughes, he ended up winning the Stanley Cup with the Nashville Predators. He played 9 more games than Darnell Richmond, but had 16 less points. That's how dominant Darnell Richmond has been. Of course, we know he's going to be taking home a lot of awards this season. He's taking home the Art Ross. He's going to be taking home the Hart as well. Unfortunately, he can't take home the Conn Smythe, even though he probably deserved it. And then to finish it all off, of course, he's taking home the Ted Lindsay, and he's going to be taking home the Maurice replace Rocket Richard. More than likely, I'm probably done showing awards because he's going to be winning these awards every season. He's going to be taking home the Hart every season. He's taking home the Art Ross every season. He's going to take home the Rocket Richard, and he's going to be taking home the Ted Lindsay. He's going to be winning all of these awards for the rest of his career, so I don't need to show you them every season. Now, after back-to-back incredible seasons, Darnell Richmond's on the final year of his contract, but San Jose Sharks fans, you don't have to worry because Richmond's going to be signing a contract extension with the team. He's going to be sticking around with the San Jose Sharks. The dollar amount, we're going to have to go find out though, because he's currently on the final year of his $21 million contract. But did he get an even bigger payday entering next season? I can only imagine he's going to be a $30 million man. Also, 75 overall Kevin Lankinen the backup goaltender, so the goaltending's not quite as hot this season. Like, I can only assume Darnell Richmond's getting more money. Like, he has had back-to-back 200-point seasons. He's definitely a $30 million guy, but I guess he's going to be taking a more team-friendly deal this time. $22.8 million for Darnell Richmond. He knows if this team wants to see more Stanley Cups in the future, he's going to have to take some cheaper contracts, and that's exactly what he's doing. But at the end of the day, let's not act like Darnell Richmond's turning down a ton of money. Like, he just signed another $100 million contract. Like, it's definitely over $100 million for sure, because it's longer than a 5-year deal. So at the very minimum, Darnell Richmond's contract extension is $120 million, and depending on how many years he signed for, it could even be $140 million. So with a signing like that, Darnell Richmond's definitely stacking the bread, and I think you can officially say he's part of the cash money team, because when you're getting bread like that, you're definitely a part of the cash money team. What are we talking about? The cash money team is all about stacking bread, and that's exactly what Darnell Richmond's going to be doing with the San Jose Sharks. Now, I was under the assumption with Kevin Lankinen as our backup goaltender and Askarov getting basically all the starts this season, we would be slightly worse. Like last season, we had Marleau, so we were rocking an 88 overall goaltender and an 86. So in theory, we should be slightly worse than last season. Yeah, about that. We finished with 71 wins this season. We almost scored 5.5 goals per game. The San Jose Sharks are the greatest team of all time. It makes absolutely no sense. So with us being this good, it begs the question, Darnell Richmond, is it possible for a 300-point season from you? Okay, maybe we're getting a bit crazy. Richmond, 137 goals, 72 helpers. That's going to equate to 209 points this season. It might not be 300, but I'm not going to complain about a 209-point season. Bro is absolutely dominating the NHL. And then when it comes to our goaltending, oh, Marleau is here. He must have been RFA, and then we eventually got a deal done with him. 52 wins from him. Askarov's picking up 19. This makes a lot more sense. I was wondering how on earth we just won 71 games with a 75 overall backup. Like, it was making no sense to me, but I guess Marleau was an RFA that we eventually got signed. However, none of this regular season success translated into the postseason because we're going to be falling in the first round to the Nashville Predators in 5 games. We won 71 games and we only won 1 game in the playoffs. What are we talking about? Like, seriously, what are we doing here? 71 wins during the regular season. Richmond was just barely above a point a game. No, I don't want to deal with this nonsense anymore. We're moving on to next season. What on earth did I just witness? We were a 71 win team and we won 1 postseason game. No, this is ridiculous. Absolutely infuriating. Darnell Richmond himself can win you 8 games in the postseason. You're telling me we only won 1? Nah, something seems a little bit fishy here. Now, there's not really too much for me to say. We won 71 games last season, but somehow that wasn't good enough for us to win a Stanley Cup. This is what the team's looking like this season. I have no clue whether or not Marleau is here. I guess go double check if he's an RFA or not. There is a chance that he actually did leave the team. And you know what? If he left the team, it's not the end of the world. We're still left with Askarov, and he's an 88 overall. We can definitely win with him. It's the first year of Darnell Richmond's new contract. He's locked down for the next 7 years at $22.8 million. As we know, this man stacks paper. But you know what I'd like to see you do? Stack together like 8 or 9 Stanley Cup victories in a row. That would be elite. Okay, so apparently Marleau is currently a UFA and he's just an unsigned free agent. Nobody has signed this 89 overall goaltender. Alright, that makes so much sense, but he's actually not the only elite player not signed. Logan Stankoven hasn't signed, and he's a 91 overall at 31 years old. Kyle Connor hasn't signed. William Nylander, Matthew Tkachuk, Jordan Kyrou, Dave Pastrnak, none of these guys have signed. I guess with the increased scoring, every team has just basically forgot how to manage the salary cap. Now the San Jose Sharks are just built different with Darnell Richmond, plain and simple. A 69-12-1 record. There is no way we're going to lose multiple times in the first round in back-to-back seasons when we win 71 games one year and 69 games the following year. Over the past 2 years, we've won 140 games of a possible like 164 or something. There is just no way we lose in back-to-back postseasons in the first round. It just will not happen, especially if Darnell Richmond's doing stuff like this. 147 goals, 79 assists for 226 points. He was locked in. He had 22 game-winning goals. Shout out to Celebrini, he had 20 game-winning goals. So these two guys alone contributed to 42 wins. Just these two guys right here, 42 wins for the San Jose Sharks. Askarov, you did your thing this season. No surprise that you were the number one. And when the postseason came around, the dominance continued. The San Jose Sharks cannot be stopped except for that one game we lost in the postseason. We went 16-1 in the postseason. We were almost perfection, except we lost that one game. Now, I can only assume Richmond's numbers aren't going to look as crazy because he only played 17 games, but 29 goals and 13 assists for 42 points. Those are some pretty ridiculous numbers. I also want to point out he had 7 game winners in the postseason, only 7 power play goals, a little bit of a surprise. But yeah, out of our 16 postseason wins, 7 of them came from Darnell Richmond alone. I think he has solidified himself as the greatest player of all time, and he's only 27 years old. By the time this man gets to the end of his career, we're going to be looking at a 4,000 point player. Also, I know I said I wasn't going to look at the individual awards, but I do want to see him taking home the Conn Smythe. I do have to highlight that award because he doesn't win that one every season, just a majority of the time he wins it. Now, we're all well aware for the San Jose Sharks, it's Stanley Cup or bust every season. As long as you have Darnell Richmond on the team, there's no way you're not seeing success. However, I do want to point out Quentin Musty is no longer on the team, so that's going to be a big hit to our top 6. However, we have Darnell Richmond still, and all you need is Darnell Richmond. I don't care if the rest of the team looks a little bit chopped. We have Darnell Richmond. That's all we need. No, like it is a little bit ridiculous. Like Darnell Richmond, Will Smith, Macklin Celebrini. They have those 3 guys, and I guess I should throw Askarov in that conversation as well. They have those 4 players, and that is good enough to win 70 games and win Stanley Cups going 16-1. It's a little bit ridiculous. Now, I don't think we're going to be breaking the win record again in this video. Like, in order to break the win record, we have to win 72 games because not that long ago we won 71 games, and I just don't think that's going to be happening. However, we are going to win 68 games this season, so we would have broke the Boston Bruins win record once again here. That would have been our 3rd straight season breaking that win record. This team is really something else, but at the end of the day, it's because of one man, Darnell Richmond. Actually, I take that back. It's because of 3 men. Darnell Richmond, Will Smith, Macklin Celebrini. Without these guys right here, this team would be so incredibly bad, it would actually be a little bit ridiculous. Richmond, 230 points, 137 goals, 93 assists. Will Smith, 203 points, Macklin Celebrini, 200 points, and then here's the rest of the team, doing basically absolutely nothing. When it came to our goaltending, Askarov, he continues to do his thing. There's a reason he's the number 1 here, and with this team looking as good as they were during the regular season, we're losing to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Actually, I take that back. We're not even losing to the Pittsburgh Penguins. We're losing to the Vegas Golden Knights in the 2nd round. We won 68 games and then lost in the 2nd round to the Vegas Golden Knights. I was assuming we made to the Stanley Cup final. I basically assume every year this team's going to be making it to the Cup final. Apparently not. We're losing in the 2nd round to the Vegas Golden Knights. Darnell, this was not your fault. This was not Darnell's fault whatsoever. There's a few players we can blame on this team. And who are we blaming? Basically anyone that's not on the first line. Anyone not named Macklin Celebrini, Will Smith, Darnell Richmond, and then of course Askarov. Those are the only 3 guys that face 0 blame. Everyone else, 100% of the blame is on you. Because look at what Askarov did. 6 wins, 2 shouts, a 917 and a 256. And then let's take a look at what Darnell Richmond did. 20 points, including 10 goals and 10 assists. Will Smith, 19 points, 1 goal, 18 assists. Macklin Celebrini, 10 goals, 8 assists for 18 points. And then who is the next leading scorer after these guys? Michael Misa with 5 points. I could confidently say, without Darnell Richmond, this would be the worst team in the entire league. Okay, I can only assume this season is going to be a disaster. Will Smith, Macklin Celebrini, Darnell Richmond, you 3 guys led the team last season. Michael Misa, you did what you could on the 2nd line, but you know what? You don't have a lot of help around you. So what are we doing to improve our bottom 6? Well, we brought in William Nylander at 4 years old. Can't really complain about that. He's going to fill his role on this team. We have a 73 overall, a 70 overall, and a 72 overall on our 4th line. Those guys are going to score 0 goals from me. Our defense looks atrocious. And when it comes to goaltending, we still have Askarov, so I guess we're okay there. But yeah, there is going to be no bottom 6 scoring this season. postseason, Richmond, I'm going to need at least 70 points from you in the postseason. Like, it's reached the point where I basically need Darnell Richmond to average 3 points per game once we get to the postseason, and anything less than that is not going to result in us winning a Stanley Cup. Alright, we have to have a conversation. The Vegas Golden Knights are Stanley Cup champions. That's currently the team I'm controlling right now, but I have everything set to auto, so I'm actually not rebuilding this team. In the past 2 games, they scored 7 goals in both of them, but I don't care about those games right there. This is the one I care about. Game 6 against the San Jose Sharks, where they beat them 11-1. The San Jose Sharks were beat 11-1 in the second round. We were a 65-16-1 team. We allowed 11 goals in an elimination game. You can't make that up. This team without Darnell Richmond is arguably one of the worst in the entire league. Like, it actually doesn't make sense anymore. Richmond, 147 goals, 87 assists for 234 points. Celebrini, 201, Will Smith, 197, and then the rest of this team is terrible. Like, it actually doesn't make sense anymore. Darnell Richmond, you're 29 years old. After next season, I'll take a quick look at your career numbers, but you might have already surpassed Wayne Gretzky. Okay, surpassing Wayne Gretzky might be a bit of an exaggeration, but I wouldn't be surprised if after next season we look at his numbers and we see he has 2,500 points. He's recorded multiple 200-point seasons. When it comes to his 100-point seasons, he was in the high 100s. I'm talking 180, 190 points. In the past 5 or so years, he's absolutely dominated to the point where he's averaging probably 220 points a season. But somehow, even with that dominance, it's a second-round exit for the San Jose Sharks, but that's only because this team cannot score without Darnell Richmond. Granted, Darnell Richmond was pretty bad during the postseason for his standards. 17 goals, 2 assists for 19 points, Will Smith 24 points, Macklin Celebrini 25. What happened to my man Darnell this season? He was not the player he has been in the past. When it comes to everyone else, we're just ignoring those guys, but Darnell Richmond, what has happened to your dominant self? So hopefully this doesn't continue. I need to see Darnell Richmond win another Stanley Cup. I need him to have a massive bounce back campaign. Okay, so I'm actually a little bit curious. What does our cap situation look like? Like, obviously we're spending basically 90% of our money on these 4 guys right here. And then when it comes to the defense, we're probably not spending a lot of money here. And then when it comes to goaltending, Ashcroft's probably getting an absolute bag. But there is no way that's actually where we're spending 90% of our money. Like, 90% of our cap on 5 players, there's just no way that's actually happening. So let's go take a look at the San Jose Sharks and figure out where exactly they're spending all of their money. So right now they have $2.1 million in cap space. Darnell Richmond's getting paid $22.8 million. Will Smith $21 million, Macklin Celebrini $12 million. Now, considering these guys right here are averaging about 200 points a season, I'm okay with that. Michael Misa at $11 million isn't terrible. Boquist as a 76 overall is getting paid $10 million. That's not ideal. Bystead as an 80 overall is getting paid $6.2 million. That is also not really ideal. So there is a bunch of money right there where we're basically wasting it. That's $16 million not going towards a great cause. And then when it comes to our goaltending, Ashcroft's getting paid $8.3 million. I can't complain about that. Our backup goaltender is getting paid $875K. That's not terrible whatsoever, but it's those 2 terrible contracts. Boquist getting $10 million and Bystead getting $6 million. Granted, let's not act like Sam Dickinson and Van Allen are on elite deals either. $7.5 for Van Allen, $7 million for Sam Dickinson. I could definitely find cheaper options for significantly less. So it's not really an issue of our top guys getting paid too much money. It's our bottom 6 guys and third pairing defensemen getting paid way too much. Like Boquist, $10 million. Like, I'm pretty sure you're a healthy scratch for me and we're paying you $10 million to not play for us. That's definitely not going to help us win Stanley Cups. Now, it wasn't that long ago I was questioning whether or not we would be able to break our 71 game win record. Well, considering we just tied it with the bottom 6 that we have on this team and the lack of offensive superstars outside of our offensive big 3 being Will Smith, Macklin Celebrini, and Darnell Richmond, I do think it is possible that we eventually win 72 games. We're first in the entire league, absolutely dominating, and then when it comes to that first line, of course, everyone's going to be above 200 points, but Darnell Richmond, how many are you finishing with? 156 goals, 108 assists, 264 points. As much as I joke about it, 300 points might be a possibility. He finally hit that 150 goal milestone. It's getting a little bit ridiculous. Like, this is a little bit absurd. Imagine if we brought in an elite offensive defenseman to play alongside these guys. Richmond would easily have 300 points. When it comes to goaltending, Ashcroft was an absolute stud, no surprise about that. And when it comes to the postseason, it finally translated. The San Jose Sharks are Stanley Cup champions, 16-1 in the postseason once again. Are we ever going to get that elusive 16-0 run? I'm not too sure, but I'll definitely take a 16-1 record. And then when it comes to the ridiculous offense the San Jose Sharks had, well, Richmond, Macklin, Celebrini both have 43 points. I do want to point out Macklin, Celebrini did have more goals than Darnell Richmond, definitely a surprise. Will Smith, 37 points, and then Michael Misa was the next leading scorer at 16 points. So it was definitely a massive fall off after our big three, but the big three is all that we need here. And then when it comes to goaltending, Ashcroft a 15-1 record, a 903 and a 314. We just went 16-1 in the postseason. I'm not going to complain about your save percentage or goals against. We were 16-1. Clearly, these are the best numbers we could have gotten. So the San Jose Sharks are back in the win column, but I guess the question is, who is taking home the Conn Smythe this season? I'm thinking it's probably going to be Macklin, Celebrini, and it looks like that's going to be the case. Darnell's not going to be taking it home this time, but then again, Celebrini did outperform him in the postseason, so he earned this one. So not only are we coming off a Stanley Cup, but this might be the best the bottom six has looked in a long time. Carson Dykert's going to be joining the bottom six. Shout out to the Moose Jaw Warrior legend. I mean, he's not really a Moose Jaw Warrior legend, but he plays for the Warriors, so yeah, we're calling him a legend. Quinn Hughes is on this team. Okay, this is the offensive defenseman we've been looking for. Darnell Richmond, incoming 3,000 point season from him. Nobody's going to stop him. And you heard me right, a 3,000 point season. Also, I guess it wouldn't hurt if we looked at Darnell Richmond's regular season numbers. I did say I was going to look at them last season. So this is what we're looking at. 1,668 goals scored. 829 assists for 2,497 points. He hasn't even played 1,000 games yet. He is plus 1,324. He has taken 5,594 shots. He's shooting 29.8%. He has 245 game-winning goals. Nah, this is a little bit ridiculous. And when it comes to his postseason scoring, 255 goals, 144 assists for 399 points in just 186 games played. Darnell Richmond's already the GOAT, and you can't convince me otherwise. Now, the San Jose Sharks were so incredibly disappointing, I can barely form words right now. A 58-11-13 record. This is worse than disappointing. This is an absolute travesty. What are we talking about? Only 58 wins. What has this team come to? I don't care if we're first in the entire league. 58 wins. What are we talking about here? When it comes to the offensive numbers from Darnell Richmond, 145 goals, 86 assists for 231 points. This is a disgrace. Quinn Hughes, how on earth did you make this team worse? You are a 91 overall, the best defenseman we have ever had on this team, and somehow we just weren't producing offensively. I mean, what am I talking about? We had 3 100-point scorers, 2 200-point scorers. We were doing fine offensively, and with us being as elite offensively as we were, it's no surprise the San Jose Sharks are Stanley Cup champions. Unfortunately, we're not going 16-0, but instead we're going 16-4 throughout the postseason. The only team we swept was the Montreal Canadiens in the Stanley Cup final. That's a little bit surprising. I was expecting this team to do a little bit more. When it comes to the postseason numbers, I'm expecting Richmond's going to be bouncing back, and it looks like that's the case. 29 goals, 19 assists, 48 points in just 20 games. Last season, he was pretty disappointing in the postseason. Didn't even lead the team in scoring, but he turned things up this time. Macklin, Celebrini also going to be picking up 22 goals. Really, the goal scoring on this team is not good outside of our top two guys. But you know what? Who cares? They combined for 51 goals. I think that's pretty good. So now that the San Jose Sharks have taken home back-to-back Stanley Cups, we're going to be having back-to-back Conn Smythe winners on our team, and it looks like this time it's going to be Darnell Richmond taking it home. Macklin, Celebrini was equally as dominant in this postseason run, but Darnell Richmond, he stepped it up a bit more compared to last season, and that's why he's taking home the Conn Smythe over Celebrini this time. So that's another Stanley Cup in the year 2039 for the San Jose Sharks. Moving into 2040, this team's looking to complete the three-peat. Now, I can't believe this has happened. Will Smith did not stay loyal to the soil. He decided he's going to take his talents elsewhere, and he's going to be leaving the San Jose Sharks. Richmond, Celebrini, Michael Misa, you're going to have to carry the way. When it comes to the defense, luckily we still have Quinn Hughes, and we even brought in Levshinov, so the first pairing defense does not look terrible by any means. And then when it comes to goaltending, Ashcroft has left the team as well. No, this just isn't the San Jose Sharks team I fell in love with. This is not the San Jose Sharks team that Darnell Richmond believes he can three-peat with. However, it's Darnell Richmond we're talking about, and he can make things happen. Now, just in case you are wondering, Will Smith is going to be joining a rival in the LA Kings. Yeah, I don't care how many Stanley Cups you won with the team, you're public enemy number one now. Also, when it comes to Askarov, it looks like he's going to be taking his talents to the Boston Bruins, but he's actually dropped to an 80 overall. So I guess the question is, was he actually on the team last season? Yes, he was. He was dominant with us, but you know what? He's no longer the goaltender he used to be, so I guess he's actually doing us a favor by leaving the organization. But Askarov, you won multiple Stanley Cups with us, you're certainly going to be missed. Now, what can I say? Will Smith, we didn't need you. Yes, our offense took a step back, but we won 60 games without you. Clearly, you weren't that important of a piece, because you know who is the most important piece? Darnell Richmond. Without Darnell, we would be nothing. However, we have players that can step into Will Smith's role, and I'm talking about Michael Misa, who's picking up 161 points this season. Richmond's picking up 137 goals, which is very weird because he's picked up 137 goals multiple times. Like, I just want to point this out. He's picked up 137 goals not once, not twice, not 3 times. Maybe it was 3 times. I thought it was more than that. But there's been 3 different occasions where he's picked up exactly 137 goals. I don't know. I just find that very odd. Also, he has now surpassed 2,900 points. He is 71 points shy of cracking 3,000. By the time he reaches the end of his career, he could be looking at 4,000 points. When it comes to goaltending, it doesn't matter who we have, we're going to win games. And not only are we winning regular season games, but we're winning postseason games. As the San Jose Sharks are going to complete the three-peat, we didn't need Will Smith, we just needed Darnell Richmond, and as long as we have him, we're winning Stanley Cups. I mean, we shouldn't act like Will Smith was a terrible player by any means, because he did pick up 200 points multiple times. Richmond, 23 goals, 15 assists for 38 points. He's going to be taking home another Conn Smythe as well as another Stanley Cup. With this season complete, he is now 32 years old, so I'm not too sure how many years he realistically has left. Taking a look at his stats, he still has 99s across the board, so he's not starting to regress at all. So with that being said, I think we could probably get another 10 years out of Darnell Richmond, and as long as he continues to average over 200 points a season, he might be the first player in history to finish with 5,000 points. He would also be the first player to finish with 3,000 points and the first player to finish with 4,000 points. But 5,000 points for Darnell Richmond, it is possible. Now, the San Jose Sharks were able to cap off the elusive three-peat. Darnell Richmond is yet to start regressing. All of his stats are still 99s. However, Macklin Celebrini has dropped to a 90 overall. He only has exact top 6 potential moving forward. Michael Meese is an 89 overall. I'm not too sure if these guys are going to be good enough alongside Darnell Richmond. Just kidding. They're going to be fine because Darnell Richmond is the greatest player of all time. You could give him 70 overalls as his line mates, and guess what? They would still win a Stanley Cup, and Darnell Richmond would still finish with 200 points because he's the greatest of all time. If you combine Connor McDavid, Wayne Gretzky, Sidney Crosby, Robert Thomas, Nick Suzuki, Andre Burakovsky, Brandon Carlo into one player, you get Darnell Richmond. I mean, I feel like you also have to include Andrew Hammond and Phil Kessel into that combination. Then you're talking about the greatest player of all time. Now, though we saw a little bit of regression from Macklin Celebrini and even Quinn Hughes, we're still the best team in the entire league. A 61, 15, and 6 record. We were almost back up to 5 goals per game, but that really shouldn't be too much of a surprise because we know who's on this team, right? We know Darnell Richmond's here, but he's only picking up 126 goals and 71 helpers for 197 points. Did he finally start regressing? We'll take a quick look at the numbers, but it doesn't look like it. I'm still seeing 99s across the board, so Richmond hasn't started regressing yet. However, the numbers aren't looking quite as good. Macklin Celebrini, what overall are you? You're still an 89 overall. However, time is winding down for this team. Quinn Hughes is regressing. Macklin Celebrini is regressing. When it comes to our goaltending situation, it's not quite as good as it was last season. However, we do have a high star potential goaltender, so maybe I shouldn't question it as much. However, our high star potential goaltender just wasn't ready for the bright lights because in the postseason, the San Jose Sharks are going to fall in the second round to the Edmonton Oilers. Our goaltender just isn't familiar with these postseason runs the San Jose Sharks go on. He just wasn't ready for those bright lights, and because of that, we're not going to be able to complete a 4-peat. We're going to be falling to the Edmonton Oilers of all teams. Richmond, 15 goals, 8 assists for 23 points. Celebrini, 22 points. Misa and Hughes were doing their thing, but it was just goaltending that let us down here, plain and simple. Elliott, 7 wins, an 890 and a 371. These are atrocious numbers. If you want to be the goaltender for the San Jose Sharks, I need Stanley Cup winning numbers, and that's certainly not what this is. So the dream of a 4-peat is officially up. We're going to be falling in the 2041 postseason in the second round. Darnell Richmond, you don't have infinite time left, and with this team regressing around you, I'm a little bit concerned of what's going to happen in the future. Also, isn't his contract up? I should double check that. There is a possibility Darnell Richmond is about to become a free agent. We should double check, and it looks like that's the case. Richmond has not signed a contract extension with the San Jose Sharks, so unless he re-signs during the re-sign phase, Richmond might be joining a new team. And you know what? Richmond joining a new team might be the best thing he could do here, because Quinn Hughes is going to be calling it a career. He's going to be retiring, so the San Jose Sharks are certainly not going to be quite as good next season. However, with Quinn Hughes retiring, that does free up a lot of money, so Darnell could be the first player in history to be paid $30 million per year. So we've reached free agency. We're going to take a look at who the top players are. Has Darnell Richmond made to free agency? Yes, he has. He is looking for $27 million per year. He is looking for a 3-year deal as a 99 overall. Who is going to sign Darnell Richmond? He is the greatest player of all time, still putting up unreal numbers. San Jose, I guess, is heading a different direction. They're ready to embrace a rebuild, and you know what? I can't really blame them. They're not the team they used to be. A lot of their players are regressing. You reach a point where you're just forced to rebuild, and it looks like San Jose has reached that point. We've simulated a week into free agency, and Richmond still hasn't signed. Okay, that's a little bit interesting. I was assuming if I simulated at least a week into free agency that we would definitely see Darnell Richmond signing with the team. I guess that's not going to be the case. So I'm going to go ahead and simulate another week and see what happens with Darnell. So we're officially 2 weeks into free agency. Darnell, have you signed with the team? No, you haven't. I'm starting to think that nobody has the money for Darnell. Darnell might not sign with the team because there might not be anyone that can afford him. And you know what? I'm actually going to just go through free agency real quick. The Boston Bruins have enough money for him. They have $27 million. The Buffalo Sabres certainly have enough money. They have $43 million. So there are teams that can sign Darnell Richmond. They just haven't thrown a contract at him yet. So I have no clue what teams are waiting for. Like, we are talking about Darnell Richmond, the greatest man to ever lace up skates. We have now simulated another week. We have simulated 3 weeks into free agency. Darnell Richmond, have you signed? No, you haven't. At this point, I am fully convinced Darnell Richmond's not going to be signing a contract. I'm going to simulate like 3 weeks or so. It hasn't quite been 3 weeks, but we're probably pretty close to the 3-week mark. Darnell Richmond, we're in the middle of August. Have you signed? He finally has. Darnell Richmond is officially signed to a team, and which team has he signed with? Well, it looks like Darnell Richmond's going to be signing a 1-year deal, and he's going to be joining the Buffalo Sabres. Darnell Richmond, can you complete the impossible and save this franchise right here? Can you save the Buffalo Sabres of all teams? If you can win a Stanley Cup with the Buffalo Sabres, you're going down as the GOAT among GOATs. Okay, now I can definitely see why the Buffalo Sabres had so much cap space. This team is terrible. Like, they literally have nothing outside Darnell Richmond. Cole Perfett's 39 years old. This team is just not good. The defense, atrocious. The goaltending, not that great. Kavanaugh, I guess I can't really be that mad. You're an 88 overall. But yeah, this team is not winning a Stanley Cup. Then again, maybe they will, because they do have 99 overall Darnell Richmond. He is the GOAT among GOATs. Or at least he will be once he wins a Stanley Cup with the Buffalo Sabres. That team might not look like much right now, but they have Darnell Richmond now, and that's all you need. Now, in his first official season not on the San Jose Sharks, Darnell Richmond is going to lead the Buffalo Sabres to a 57-16-9 record. However, I do want to point out the San Jose Sharks, 6th in the entire league. I thought without Darnell Richmond, these guys are going to be absolute frauds, but I guess they are still legit. However, in saying that, they did have a lot of cap space, so I do want to take a quick look at this team, and yeah, it looks like they found some replacements, but not any elite replacements. So just looking at these numbers, I am very surprised this team is competitive. Like, they don't even have Macklin Celebrini either. Yeah, this makes no sense. I don't know how the San Jose Sharks were so competitive, but I guess they were. We'll take a look at the entire league, because I can only assume Richmond's going to lead the entire league, but it doesn't look like that's the case. Darnell Richmond, 3rd in league, scoring 107 goals, 44 assists for 151 points. He has dropped to a 97 overall. The fall off has begun. The Darnell Richmond fall off has begun. This is a day I never thought I would see, and of course it's happening on the Buffalo Sabres. Why am I not surprised? He starts regressing the second he joins the Buffalo Sabres. They also ended up getting swept in the second round to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Nothing good happens in Buffalo. Like, name me one good thing that has happened to the Buffalo Sabres franchise in the past 15 years. You can't name anything good. Luckily, Darnell hasn't signed an extension with the team, so more than likely he's going to be hitting free agency once again, and truthfully, that's the best thing for his career. Now, I'm very happy to see Darnell Richmond is going to be leaving the Buffalo Sabres. It looks like a team has already offered him a contract. He's a 97 overall, looking for $28 million a year. I have no clue who's going to be throwing $28 million at Darnell, NHL, but you know what? It's good to see him stacking paper. So we're going to go ahead, simulate a week into the season, and then figure out where Darnell Richmond's going to be taking his talents to. Alright, never mind. Darnell Richmond is going to reject the one contract offer that he got, and he's going to still be a free agent a week into the season. So yeah, don't expect him to be signing until probably around August. Now it appears Darnell has decided where he's going to be taking his talents to. He's going to be signing a contract with the New Jersey Devils, $28 million per year for the next 2 years. He's going to be receiving $56 million from the New Jersey Devils over the course of these next 2 seasons. Not only is Darnell breaking countless scoring records and countless award records, but he's also going to be the highest paid player in NHL history. By the time this video is over, he's going to be a $300 million man. If that doesn't get you on the cash money team, I don't know what does. Now, Darnell Richmond is far from being the elite player that he used to be. He's now a 97 overall. He doesn't have 99s across the board anymore. He just isn't that superstar that we've seen in the past. And looking at this New Jersey Devils team, it has me a little bit concerned, because although Darnell is one of the greatest players of all time, he actually is the greatest player of all time, I'm not sure if he is good enough anymore to lead this team to a Stanley Cup. Because outside of Darnell and Landon DuPont, and even Carlos here, this team is not looking like a super team by any means. So are those 3 players going to be enough for the New Jersey Devils to win a Stanley Cup? I have my questions, but then again, I should never doubt Darnell's greatness. Now, I'm not going to lie, this is kind of crazy. The San Jose Sharks were 1 point back of us in the standings. However, they scored more goals than us this season, and they were actually a better defensive team. How on earth did we finish ahead of them? I have no clue, but we're not going to question it. Now, when it comes to Richmond's numbers, we're all well aware of his decline. We know he's not the player he used to be, but Richmond, what were you up to this season? 107 goals, 51 assists for only 158 points. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but Darnell Richmond is washed. He is not the elite GOAT we have known in the past. The Toronto Maple Leafs are Stanley Cup champions. The Devils are losing in the second round. Ever since Richmond left the San Jose Sharks, he just hasn't been the same player. And you know what? I just realized something. Now that he's left the San Jose Sharks, he's probably not taking home a ton of awards. Like, he's just not the player he used to be. So we're going to take a quick look at individual awards, and you know what? It's just not the case anymore. Macklin Celebrini's taking home the Art Ross over Darnell Richmond. When it comes to the Hart, Macklin Celebrini's taking that home as well. Did Richmond win any awards this season? He's not taking home the Ted Lindsay, but he is going to be taking home the Maurice Rock Richard because he did score 100 goals, so that's not really much of a surprise. But Darnell Richmond had one of the greatest runs in NHL history, but that run has come to an end. I don't think I can confidently call him the best active player in the game anymore. Also, I just thought I'd take a look at the retired players to see if I recognized anybody, and I certainly did. Will Smith is going to be calling it a career with 2,533 points. Michael Meese is also going to be calling it a career with 1,200 points. We lost a ton of legends here. Dalibor Dvorsky's also going to be retiring. Unfortunately, though, he isn't going to be retiring with the St. Louis Blues, and that hurts me a little bit. Now, thankfully, we're not going to see any crazy regression from Darnell Richmond. Moving into this upcoming season, he's still 99 overall. He is still arguably the best player in the game. But based on who won awards last season, I'm not sure if I can call him the best active player in the game. But I want him to prove me wrong. I want Darnell to prove me that he is still the best player in the game right now. We're getting an upgrade in the goaltending department. We have an 83 overall now. Not only am I expecting a big bounce back campaign from Darnell Richmond, but the New Jersey Devils as a whole. Now, it was another underwhelming season for the New Jersey Devils, a 52-27-3 record. I'm going to keep it a stack. I don't really care what the team does during the regular season. The only thing I care about is Darnell Richmond's stats and the postseason success for the New Jersey Devils. Unfortunately, I hate to break it to you, the team didn't see a lot of postseason success. They actually saw no postseason success. Richmond, 129 goals, 50 assists for 179 points, and then when it comes to the postseason, yeah, this is what happened. We lost in the first round in 7 games. The Buffalo Sabres made a deeper run than us. Nah, you just hate to see it. You really do. Richmond is plain and simple. You're not the player you used to be. You can't put the team on your back like you used to. Granted, a handful of years ago when you were putting the team on your back, you at least had a couple pieces alongside you. Macklin Celebrini was there. Will Smith was there. You had a bit of help. Mason McTavish is taking home the Art Ross. He's also taking home the Hart. I honestly didn't expect that. But when it comes to the Ted Lindsay, that's not going to be Darnell Richmond. And then when it comes to the Rocket Richard, of course that's going to be Richmond. He scored 129 goals or something like that. This man's probably won about 18 Rocket Richards by now. I guess the real question is he going to win another one? Because we have to remember, he's 36 years old. He's dropped to a 95 overall. He's not the player that he used to be. So is Darnell Richmond going to be returning for another season, or is he going to call it a career? Why are you doing this to me, Darnell? You're a 96 overall. I thought you were a 95. I guess you're a 96 overall. Why are you retiring on me right now? In 1,476 games played, he scored 2,419 goals, 1,195 assists for 3,614 points. Darnell Richmond, the greatest player of all time. Like, look at this man's trophy case. 6 Stanley Cups, 5 Conn Smythes, 12 Harts, 14 Ted Lindsays, 13 Art Ross, 18 Rocket Richards, being 18 straight Rocket Richards. He won a Calder, and then of course 8 Lady Bings. The greatest player to ever touch the ice, the greatest player to ever lace up skates. Darnell Richmond was that guy. When it comes to the playoff numbers, in 266 games played, he had 364 goals, 203 assists for 567 points. So Richmond's going to finish with over 2 points per game during the postseason. He was one of one, what can I say? Darnell Richmond ruined the NHL. He was so dominant on that San Jose Sharks team that nobody could really compete with them. They won 70 plus games multiple times. They won 6 Stanley Cups together. If only the core didn't separate as early as they did. If Will Smith stuck around, if Macklin Sabrini stuck around, and if Darnell Richmond all stuck around just for another 5 years, we might have looked at another 3 Stanley Cups. But those players all decided to go their separate ways. The team was regressing. They weren't as great as they used to be. But after Richmond left San Jose, he was just never the same.